Yo, Steve-O, what's good, man? Be back again, man. Be back again. I'll let a few of y'all join up before I start, talking my talk. But good to be back. I appreciate y'all for joining Akoye Knows Boxing once again. For those of you who are just jumping in, don't know about the page. If you're joining from the Akoye Media page, make sure you follow Akoye Knows Boxing. You just type that into YouTube, Akoye Knows Boxing, and you'll find the other page, right? And then make sure you follow, like, subscribe, share it, do all you do. Everybody who watches me on the Akoye page, if you like boxing, don't waste no time. Come over here and follow it because I need you to, number one. But number two, you're not going to find boxing content over there. So it's going to be desert. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, it's good to be back. And we got some topics for you. I think you guys kind of know based off the title what we're talking about today. But it's some other fights we're going to talk about as well. And we'll get into it in a second. I'll give y'all a chance to join up. Dax owns Dak owns a bad defense. Yeah, that's a fact. Yo, I guess you first up today, man. But yeah, we'll let some more of you join up and then we'll get into it. But the conversation we're gonna be discussing is Canelo was throwing some salt in the game and he said he thinks let me fix this damn camera. I don't like how high up it is. There we go. I look like I'm little. It's just too high up. But anyway, he thinks that Crawford is better than Canelo. He said it. I mean, Crawford is better than Mayweather. He said it. Canelo said it. And it started a conversation all over the internet where everybody's talking about whether or not that's accurate or how accurate they believe it to be. To me, don't really matter one way or the other. But I think that he is qualified to discuss it, right? And reason being, he fought both guys. So it is a valid conversation for Canelo to assess because we do that all the time. And I think a lot of the people today who, try to dismiss the argument don't realize we do that all the time. We'll ask a sparring partner when we're leading up to a fight, well, how was this guy? Or we'll ask previous opponents. We even judge whether or not we want certain fighters to fight each other based off of light competition. Like, oh, how well did you get rid of this guy? It took him 12 rounds. So, you know what I mean? We do those types of things, compare and contrast. So it's no different with this. I think the respect level for Floyd Mayweather is the reason people don't want to visit the conversation. And that's the reason Crawford gracefully bowed out of that conversation, which I respect him for being the man that he is and doing that. But at the same time, it's still a question that can be answered, and you must answer it, I think, with respect. So Norm Hatford was good. Before I get into it, I'm gonna just give everybody shout outs. He said, what's good, my man? Miss your content, man. Well, listen, everybody who just joined up, remember, I just said it, but I'll say it again and I'll keep saying it. And my moderators, especially you, Norm, people like y'all, make sure y'all saying it in the chat too. Follow Akoye Knows Boxing on YouTube and you'll find this content. All right. So Agent 9 was good. Pod was good. He said Floyd Mayweather was different. He sure was. But let's get into the conversation, right? Number one, you have to look at the reason Canelo said it in the first place. What's up, Ghost? What's good? But you got to look at the reason he said it in the first place, right? The reason he discussed that and the reason he said it in the first place was this. He doesn't like Floyd Mayweather. So you got to take that into account. Canelo hates Floyd, as a person. And he looks at Crawford as a gracious person. He respects him. So I think he likes Crawford more. So obviously he's going to say more in favor of Crawford, right? When you ask who's better out of the two, they're in two different eras. Just like I would say how Sugar Ray Leonard would have fared against Floyd, how Crawford would fare against Floyd, those things are different. I would love to have seen that fight. I can compare their styles and say what would give each other problems, but we don't need to get into the technicalities because it isn't a fight that we're going to see. I think both bring something to the game that would give the other a lot of issues. Floyd being like a master adjuster, mid-game adjuster, he will give Crawford problems because Crawford's the type that once he figures out your pattern, he's going to disrespect you and walk you down, right? And he's going to switch his style up. But that style switch usually gives, most fighters problems, but not a fighter that can adjust on the fly like Floyd. So not saying it wouldn't give him problems, I'm saying he can actually adjust to it. So that would be a great fight to see. But when you're looking at it from light competition, like who dominated Canelo more or better, I think they both were different and they dominated in their own way. If you look at Floyd Mayweather's fight with Canelo, Floyd Mayweather didn't let Canelo really get anything off. Canelo was trying to get off. He couldn't find Floyd Mayweather in a phone booth, literally couldn't touch him. And Floyd was hitting him in between shots. making him pay every time he missed. Canelo, I don't think, was hurt in that fight though, because he was still game the whole fight. He was coming forward, just trying to kill. Couldn't really get there because Floyd was just annoying him with his punches. Now Floyd has hurt his hands early in his career, so that led to a decline in his punching power, and also he came up in weight. I think they fought at like maybe 154. So Floyd obviously didn't have enough power or pop at that weight to knock Canelo out, but to affect him and get his respect, he definitely affected him. Couldn't hurt him, but that's even more reason why some will say Floyd dominated him even more, right? Because he's the bull and the matador. Of course, you can't beat a bull head up, but Floyd was able to corral him and do certain things that would annoy Canelo by taking angles, shoulder rolling, standing in the phone booth, making him waste his energy and just pot shotting him, right? It was very frustrating. But I understand why Canelo would say that Crawford is better. As a fighter, I would understand. And this is the reason. If you've ever fought someone or done something where it's like you feel like if I could have just done this better, I would have won. And I think Canelo had that itch in his mind at the end of the Floyd fight, saying, if I was better, if I moved better, because he got better with his head movement and his he got slicker after that fight because he watched Floyd and kind of mimicked some of the stuff Floyd does. Hold on a second. It's too loud. I was wondering what all that noise was, making me anxious. Much, much better. Sorry about the sound quality a second ago. The air, I had my fan on. I just forgot I had it on. Happy Tuesday. But yeah, so if you look at that fight and you say, yo, Floyd's probably looking at the end of that fight and saying, I could have done a little bit more in this area or that area. If I could, I mean, Canelo could have said that. Like, if I could have landed some punches on Floyd, I would have hurt him. That's what Canelo was thinking at the end of that fight. If I was better, I would have beat Floyd. That's how he thought. Now, I'm not saying he was right, but that's what he was thinking at the end of the fight because he didn't get a chance to land punches to find out what would actually happen if he did, right? Now I understand why you would think that you could beat a guy if you could hit him. You probably think, oh, if I would have hit him, I would have hurt him. A lot of guys think that. The reason he doesn't think that when it comes to Crawford is because he did hit Crawford. It's because he did get the things off that he wanted to get off. It's because he is slicker now. He is better and more seasoned than he was when he fought Floyd. He feels like he's a better, more well-rounded fighter now and an accomplished fighter. And he still lost to a guy who was smaller who fought the wrong fight. And what I mean by fought the wrong fight, I mean you never tell a small guy to stand right in front of a bigger guy in exchange. You will never tell a guy to do that. My hat goes off to Crawford for being able to do that. That's what makes him special. But the reason he's special is because you can line 10 other fighters up, whether they're light heavyweight, super middleweight, junior middleweight, welterweight, and say, hey, I want you to fight Canelo, but your strategy is to stand in front of him in exchange. And they would not be able to do what Crawford did. They would actually probably get their faces broken. So that's why Canelo, to me, respects Crawford a little more because he knows, like, at the end of that fight, I know who hurt me more. I know who I hit with my best Sunday punch and just stood there. He stood there like nothing happened. And I know who almost got me out of here. Floyd did not almost knock Canelo out. Crawford did. So I could see why Canelo would say what he said. Whether that's a valid argument for us to keep having in this boxing, it's something to talk about, but who cares, right? For me, it's like they'll never fight. So, I got respect for both those guys. You know what I mean? Hold up. Raynar says Mayweather is great, but I always feel like his career is incomplete. Crawford is indisputably undisputably, I think you mean, the best. No talks of cherry picking with him. He's a throwback, old school 70s, 80s, 90s type of fighter. That is disrespectful, man. I think people forget who Pretty Boy Floyd is because they've been watching Money Mayweather, and I don't no disrespect to you, but I understand where you came with that. Because there's no way you think Crawford. Crawford may be more accomplished because of the belts, like accomplishments meaning titles, but fighters, no. Floyd's resume is ridiculous. There wasn't no cherry picking in the beginning of his career. Floyd got the right to cherry pick. Like Crawford just earned the right to cherry pick at the age of 38, meaning now Crawford's a draw, meaning he fought the money man, meaning the guy who is, I'll explain business with boxing real quick. Hold on, I think my producers are telling me some stuff. Okay, got you, got you. Okay, well, let me go into this, and then we'll transition to another topic. But anyway, when you go into boxing, right, and you think about this way, when Floyd got to fight Oscar De La Hoya and beat him, he then became a draw. What I mean by draw means he's a guy that can make money fighting anybody. Like Ali back in the day, Ali was blessing you if he beat your ass. Meaning if he picked you to be an opponent and he fought you, even though he might beat your ass, or beat you down, excuse my French, you made money because he fought you, because he is a real draw. Crawford now just became a draw, right at 38. Floyd has been a draw since he beat De La Hoya. When he beat De La Hoya, he became, in his opinion, Money Mayweather. When you're a draw, by definition, you can fight whoever you want because you've earned the right to do it by fighting everybody you had to fight. So if Crawford wants to fight a bunch of dirt bags right now to make a couple dollars if he wants on his way out, he's earned the right to do that. Canelo's been doing that. Is he a cherry picker? No, but he fights who he wants to fight because he's the draw now. He's the money guy. Crawford just beat the money guy, so now he's a draw. He can make money fighting anybody. All right, so you're going to see fights that you might not normally see. Just like you saw Pacquiao. Everybody who's a draw does this. This is not a cherry picking thing. They put that on Floyd because they want to hate on Floyd, which I understand. He don't got the greatest personality to most people, but I ain't gonna hate on you just because I don't like how you act. But check this out, right, real quick. Floyd Mayweather in the beginning of his career fought DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley. Tough fight if you ever watch it. DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley, that was a war. He fought Emmanuel Augustus, the drunken master. Very tough fight. He fought Jose Luis Castillo twice. One with a broken hand. One fight with one hand. He fought Diego Corrales in his prime. Beat his ass. Beat him down, right? You can keep going. He fought Zab Judah. He fought, Sharon Mitchell. I like Sharon Mitchell when he fought him. Those were southpaws that gave him problems, right? And he still found a way to win. He fought Robert the Ghost Garcia, Andre Berto. You keep going. You can keep going. Pacquiao, Ricky Hatton. Rest in peace, Ricky Hatton as well. Reach out to people who you feel, are having issues right now, because you never know what people are going through. But rest in peace, Ricky Hatton. But he fought everybody, man, that there was to fight. Arturo Gatti, everybody he was fighting before he fought them, they said, oh, he's the guy to beat him. And then when he beats him, they said he ain't fight nobody because he make him look bad. But Floyd has fought a lot of dangerous fighters, and his resume speaks for itself. Shane Mosley, just getting out of the Shane Mosley fight with a win, just getting out of it alive is crazy enough after the way it started. But getting out of it with a win is amazing. You know what I mean? But give Floyd his respect, bro. You got to give him his respect, whether you like him or not. I ain't saying this is the popularity contest, but skills, you can't say that he ain't a throwback. You wild. All right. And he fought Cotto too. Yeah, he fought Cotto too. But it's a lot of talk about who Crawford should fight next. Like I said, he gets to fight whoever he wants. But other fights coming up, other people that we are talking about, everybody says, hey, he should fight Boots, Jaron Boots Ennis. I don't think he will, and I don't think he should. I want to see it. Well, I'll say he should, but I don't think he will. Right. And when I say should or shouldn't, I'm talking from just like a business standpoint. I don't think he should from a business standpoint, because that's a lot more danger than you need at 38 for the same money that you'll make fighting, a Rashidi Ellis. You can fight Rashidi Ellis, make 10 million. You can fight Boots and make 12. Fight Ellis. Fight Ellis. You know what I'm saying? Play with something safe. That's what we say here in Philly, man. Play with something safe, man. But I'm not even talking trash to Crawford. I think that would be a great fight. I just want to see it. I don't think Boots automatically wins that fight. I don't think Crawford automatically wins that fight. That's a fight that I would love to see. So, but Boots has a fight against Suma Lima, I think it is. October 11th, they'll be fighting here in Philly. I think that's going to be a fight just to keep Boots active. And then, depending on how that goes, we'll see what comes down the pike next. But, it's a lot of big fights coming up. And people talk about that fight between Boots and Crawford as if that's a fight that I think the boxing world would love. But I think it's probably, as far as a draw for Boots, probably 2 years away from that, from being able to warrant that type of fight. And I don't think Crawford will be around in 2 years boxing. He's 38. So That's why I don't think it'll happen either, right? But it's one of those fights that we would love to see. But I think Crawford and Boots is more like a passing of the torch at this point rather than a fight that we'll see. I think it's just like Floyd and Crawford, right? Floyd's era ended, Crawford's kind of transitioned in while Floyd's was ending, and then he passed the torch, and the same thing's going for Boots right now. I think that'll be how this ends. I don't think they'll fight. Um, Other fights coming up though. We got Roach versus Pitbull Cruz, and I know Roach is mad, man. He got to be mad at Javante, and we'll get into the Javante debacle, all that circusry with Jake Paul in a second. But if I'm Roach, I'm pissed off, man, because I already showed I can deal with Javante Davis, but Javante don't want to fight you right away, which is smart. This is smart. It's chess, not checkers. Because if Roach loses to Pitbull Cruz or he looks bad, people won't care to see the rematch with him, Javante. Now Javante can come back to real boxing and avoid Roach, and nobody's going to ask why, right? Because when he comes back after fighting Pitbull Cruz, I don't know if he wins that fight. Like it's a good fight. Pitbull Cruz is a beast. It's hard to keep him off you. And if you ain't it, he gonna show you. Like he's one of those champions that test your heart. He's like a solid C plus on 10. You know what I'm saying? Like he on 100 whole time. But he's a C plus fighter. He don't do nothing real great except for come forward and beat and just pressure you. Right? His pressure is on 100, right? But if you ain't it, if you ain't trained right, if you injured, you hurt yourself in the fight, you doubt yourself when you punch a guy and he's staying right there and keep coming. You hurt your hand on his forehead. You don't like getting hit to the body. You don't like being inside fighting and all that. He ain't just a gatekeeper. He is the gate, meaning you got to be real to pass through it. You know what I mean? He's like Carlos Baldomir on steroids and quicker. You know what I mean? And short with a Marvin Hagler head, man. Like you can't hurt the guy. You can't. So fighting a Pitbull Cruz is hard for anybody, and you got to be real to be able to win that type of fight. And you can't go in there relying on the fact that you're gonna dominate him physically. You gotta really, really be able to fight, not just box and not just be smooth. You gotta be able to do it all to beat Pitbull Cruz. And I think that's a good fight to watch. It's a bad fight career-wise at this stage for Roach because you want a big money fight. It's not the biggest money fight, and it's dangerous as hell. And he got a style to make everybody kind of look bad. You know what I mean? So it diminishes your ability to make the type of money you want to make after this fight if you don't get to fight Gervonta Davis or Shakur or those guys, right? All those guys are going to stay away from Roach because they should. I would if I was his manager, Gervonta's manager, Al Heyman. If I was Shakur's manager, I would say, listen, Roach can fight, but he ain't gonna make no money fighting him. So don't fight him. But he can fight his ass off. So why would you risk that? He got to make himself a draw. So this is Roach's one chance. If he can do the Pitbull Cruz what nobody else has done, meaning beat the dog crap out of him, he can do that. He's going to be a draw. People are going to demand that he sees the top guys after that. But if he can't, if he looks average, he will get relegated to the same level he is right now. The guy that you avoid, that you can safely avoid because he ain't the draw. He really becomes the Boots of the lightweight divisions. You know what I'm saying? Because Boots is good enough to beat anybody, but he's not a draw yet. He will be, but he's not a draw yet because the draws won't fight him to pass that torch to Boots because they know once he beats one of those top guys, he is a draw then because the world will know him, right? He needs one of those types of wins, but he only can get one of those types of wins if you get in the ring with him. You know what I mean? So it's up to Roach to pull that out and do what he got to do with that. And I think, I think he got it in him. I like what he did against Gervonta when I watched that fight. I've seen Gervonta kind of lull guys to sleep in the past, and he tried that with Roach, and Roach was ready for everything he had. But the proverbial cliche of styles make fights is a real thing. So you don't know if Roach's style just gives Gervonta problems and his history with him gives him problems. He knows him. He's not scared of him. He's not nervous, right? That could be the reason he looks so good against him. But will he look that good against everybody, right? So this is his chance to show that. We're going to see it. We're going to see what's up. Paul says, what's up, Paul? Paul says Shakur is talking about going up since Davis is avoiding him. I mean, I'm not a super Shakur fan, bro, and I know a lot of people don't like the fact that I say that, but I always have a question mark out for southpaws until I see them fight other southpaws, I swear. And the southpaw that I watched him fight, which is De Los Santos, he ran that whole fight. And the reason he did is because the southpaw angle advantage wasn't there. I think anyway. That's why he did that. You know. And I just don't look at him as the elite defender that people think he is until he fights Gervonta or a guy that really can bang from that southpaw position. When I see that, or he fights a conventional fighter that really knows how to fight a southpaw, then I will give him his credit. Like if he fights a Roach, Roach know how to fight southpaws. If he fights Roach, I would give him his respect. But the guys that he fights the perfect opponents for him because like don't give me a conversation that a southpaw is a great defender when he don't got to defend the jab. Don't tell me he's a great defender when he got the angle advantage and he could control distance because he got the angle advantage, right? Pernell Whitaker had great defense no matter where he was. Tevin Farmer, great defender. You know what I mean? Chris Bird, these are southpaws that are good southpaws. Marvin Hagler, you know what I mean? Terence Crawford, Boots. These guys fight southpaws and conventional fighters in a way that is dominant, not because of the advantage, right? Um, uh, Annie Up says, I'll tolerate Shakur because he doesn't deliberately dodge fights. Honey, ducking that boy still. Haney ducking that boy still. I don't think Haney ducking Shakur. I don't think he should anyway. I think Haney and Shakur would be a good fight. I think Haney's loss to Garcia. Y'all gotta understand it's a business. Boxing is a business, right? Fights have to cook. They have to mature, right? And Haney was maturing. That fight was cooking between him and Davis or him and Shakur. But the Robert Garcia fight, Ryan Garcia fight, I'm sorry. That Ryan Garcia fight derailed that, right? So now he has to recook it. You know what I mean? He has to build himself up to the point where people want to see those fights. If he fought any of those guys now, we would be happy that he's fighting, but it wouldn't make the impact to the sport or to the bread or his pockets the way he would want to. So boxing is prize fighting. We ain't selling blood. Nobody's selling blood for free. It's not we are selling blood, but it's not free. You know what I'm saying? You got to pay for that. So if I say, hey, I gotta fight this guy, I've been waiting to fight him since the amateurs, and you know, I risk getting hurt fighting this guy. I risk my record. I risk everything. My career is on the line fighting him. I need to be maximized to do it. So it's only wise to wait till the fight is is right. He said that loss to Garcia didn't get retracted after the PEDs. I think it did, but it doesn't matter. It still happened in your mind and in your eyes, and his body still felt it, PEDs or not. Even if I gave you back to zero, you undefeated still. So what? Your body ain't. You still felt that. Ask Cotto when he fought Margarito. Margarito had the loaded gloves. Yeah, Cotto got to get his revenge, but he lost a lot of they knocked years off his life in that fight. You know what I mean? He still took the punishment, and so did Haney. Haney still got some work in it. He got some hands put on in that fight. You know what I'm saying? He got some hands put on him. You still feel that. You don't just go back and be like, I'm back because I didn't lose. No, you felt that. And the embarrassment of the memes, everything, all that goes into it, right? So yeah, he got to build that back up. Brother Lamont, Ahmad, what's good? What's good, man? But moving on, right? Moving on. Hold on one second. Let me see what we talking about here. Yep. We got Tank and we got Jake Paul. I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is a circus, and I don't know if I want to see it. You know, I want to see it, and I understand it. So I don't get mad at a lot of things, especially when it comes to sports. People get upset. I seek understanding. And the reason I do that is because there's a business play and a reason that makes sense to me. I always understand business. I always understand business, but I understand what it is to be a fan too. I ride I straddle the fence between both, so that I can communicate with both. I can communicate to the businessman in you, and I can give you a reason why you would do this fight if you're hating on the fact that Davis is doing it. I'll tell you exactly why he's doing it, and then I can give you the fans' perspective, where it's like, yeah, but this ain't the fight we want to see. I understand both, right? But here we go, and I'm gonna tell you why you're seeing this fight and why it's happening now and not later. because it would never happen later. And this is probably the biggest money that Davis can probably get in a fight, because Jake Paul's name and Davis's name together is electric. But if Davis would have fought Roach again before this happens, who wants to see it? Maybe nobody. You know what I mean? But if he fights him now, he can make major money. He can have a reason to duck. It's a very good duck, because if you ducked by fighting another fighter after the Roach fight, now you look bad if you fought a professional boxer right now and you're Davis and you went and picked another guy that didn't whoop your ass, right? But you pick a guy who's not a boxer. It's not as dangerous. If you lose, you don't really lose anything. It doesn't matter, right? You don't lose anything. Nobody cares if you lose to a bigger man in an exhibition. Nobody gives a damn. And you'll make a bigger payday than you can make anywhere else on the planet, right? You're gonna get that money, win, lose, or draw. No matter what happens, you can come back to boxing and get another major payday against Roach or anybody else you choose to fight first, right? And if Roach does beat you, you're never gonna see those type of paydays again. So now you got two major paydays for the price of one. Whereas if you went right back and fought Roach, you're not gonna make as much as you're making fighting Jake Paul, right? At all. And you could lose. And then now you're not making the same money when you actually do have to fight Shakur later or Haney or anybody else. You're not gonna make the same money, right? But you do this first, you come back and Roach loses. Now that was a slick duck, and now you could duck Roach again because you don't got to fight him now if you lose the Pitbull Cruise. That's smart business. It's strategies, chess, not checkers. Now, this is what's happening in the business. Now, if Roach loses and he comes back and he has to, and Davis goes and he fights Shakur, he's gonna make major money after this fight. He fights Haney, major money. He fights anybody after this, he's gonna make some good money. But if you're saying, hey, I only got who knows how many he has left in him, but let's say you only want to fight 4 or 5 more fights. Jake Paul should be one of them, right? Number first. And then you go and fight, you pick him after that, but you walking off into the sunset with at least, it's the difference between making another $200 million in the rest of your career versus making maybe 100 or 75 million. You know what I mean? That's where he's at right now. That's what these fights mean. That's what the Jake Paul fight means. And he's going to go get a crowd and an audience and a demographic that are not a traditional boxing demographic. He already has his own fans. Davis does. He's going to go siphon some of them from Jake Paul. And then he's even a bigger draw. It's like an avalanche. He's a bigger draw when he comes back to fight, whoever he chooses to fight next. That's only smart business. I would definitely advise him to do it. And that's why it's happening. If you're asking me who's going to win, it's a circus. I don't know, don't care. I don't think they're all real anyway. I think Jake Paul's claim to fame is the fact that he hasn't lost yet. It hasn't looked horrible against any of the fighters that he's fighting, that he has the handicap against. And I think that's what keeps the gravy chain growing. So I don't think him or Davis want Jake Paul to lose, to be quite honest, because that's how he makes his money. It's WWE for them. You know what I mean? So I don't care who wins that fight. I just know why they're doing it, and it's smart business. You know what I mean? But let me read what some of y'all are saying. So Annie Up says, facts, Ahmad. I want to see Paul in a for real fight. He got the conditioning. I want to see that translate in the ring. No, you don't. Paul is listen. He don't have the conditioning. He's not that. You know what I mean? If he's fighting a true light heavyweight or super middleweight, wherever he's really supposed to be, he ain't that, bro. He knows that. They know that. That's why he's doing what he's doing now, because he can make money off of his name as well. Why make it real? If you remember Wolf of Wall Street, he's like, never do that. That makes it real. You fight a real fighter, that makes it real. And now when you get destroyed, all this is over. Where you gonna go back to YouTube? No. You do what you're doing, Jake Paul. That's smart business. That's smart business. I don't want to see him fight a real for real fighter because I don't think he can beat a real for real fighter or consistently beat them. He can't work his way up in the ranks to be able to be respected as a real boxer, in my opinion. He can get sanctioned to fight these exhibitions. More power to you. It's good for the sport. You're bringing eyes to boxing. Thank you. I'm in the sport. I'm in the business. I throw fights. Thank you. I ain't mad at him for that. Yep. Let me see what else you guys are saying. He's talking about fighting the Puerto Rican that went up to junior lightweight. You mean Teofimo? Yeah. If Shakur fights Teofimo, probably a good fight. That's probably a good fight. I think that Tiafimo is a front runner. He's explosive in the early rounds, but I don't like Tiafimo late. He fades late. So it'll be a question of can Tiafimo land and do enough damage early to Shakur for him to be able to coast in the later rounds and still be able to gain respect and dominate those later rounds, or will Shakur make him miss early, and when Tiafimo starts to fade, he'll kind of do what Lomachenko did to him, which is start to outpoint him in the late rounds. So either way, I think that'll be something to watch if it does happen. I'm looking forward to seeing that. They're trying to sell it now, and if people buying, I'm buying. It's all good. But outside of that, like I said, I think we covered all the fights we wanted to cover. But outside of the obvious things that we're talking about when it comes to boxing, I will say for the sport itself, man, and the way it's going, a lot of people are transitioning over to the UFC. My sons are jujitsu practitioners, so I watch a lot of UFC too. But I think boxing is making a resurgence because there's so much to be added with a lot of the social media influencers that are in it. I won't give away my own promotional strategy, but social media influence right now and content right now is creating a new wave for boxing where boxing can definitely make a resurgence. People like Turkey, Ala Sheik, they're doing a lot of great things for boxing as well. Jake Paul is one of them. You know what I mean? Javante. We got a lot of names. Whereas back in the day, we had one name at a time. Usually was Roy Jones and De La Hoya. Maybe that was it. Then heavyweight division, it was like Mike Tyson, right? Ali, and whoever was. I think Sugar Ray Leonard. You know what I mean? But we had some names, but now we got multiple names. You got Javante Davis, you got Shakur Stevens, you got Haney. These guys are draws enough. You got Boots that will become one. You got Crawford that now is like, he's a draw, but he can do what he want. You got Canelo that's a draw. You got Inoue. You got guys who can hold their own in the sport that are big names now, right? Multiple big names. Then you have the influencers that are kind of cultivating and subsidizing that. So boxing is in a space where I think the resurgence is real. I look at boxing as a purist. I'm a martial artist. I look at boxing as a martial art. Those who do practice and they stay ready, they stay sharp. Those that look at it as a prize fight or something to do as a sport, right? I think that's what hurt the game because we had so many trainers that were just trying to get a guy ready to win a fight for some money versus trying to train a guy to be able to protect himself for the rest of his life and just so happen to be good enough to go make some money doing it too. That's where we lost boxing, and that happened when the mob got into boxing back in the day. When even during Joe Lewis's era, he had a trainer named I forget what his name. I think it was Frank uh, Blackburn, something like that. But Joe Lewis's trainer got chased out of there by the mob. A lot of trainers got chased off by the mob. So you saw guys who were what I call shoe shiners versus shoemakers. And I say this all the time. Rest in peace to Sharaf, my trainer. I'll say this before I go, but he used to say a shoemaker can make a shoe and he can make a shoe, he can shine a shoe and make it look new, right? But he can make a shoe from scratch. A shoe shiner can make an old shoe look new, but he can't make a shoe. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing when it comes to trainers. A true boxing practitioner, a purist, can make a fighter out of anybody. He can make a fighter with the tools that you have. He can make you a fighter. He can help you find your fight. A shoe shiner, meaning a trainer that's just good at getting guys in shape, that's what took over the sport. We have a bunch, and we can see it. You have a bunch of athletes that don't have boxing IQ. Boxing is the only sport that you can watch where you could be a professional at it, but not know how to do it. You ever heard of that? You never heard of a professional basketball player that can't dribble, that can't play basketball? Well, Shaq. He can play basketball, but he can't dribble. You know what I'm saying? And can't shoot a free throw. But he's a pro at what he does, right? So what I mean is in professional sports, soccer, football, you have to be able to really be a professional at that sport to get there. Boxing, you don't. Boxing, I've seen guys who have, pro records who they can't beat me. I ain't a pro. I ain't never even been an amateur. I could just fight. I've been fighting my whole life. I've been boxing my whole life. They can't beat me. And I'm 42. Now, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna curse. But you know what I'm saying? So boxing is that, right? And that's because there's a lot of trainers that know how to get you physically strong and in shape, but they don't know what to put in here because they don't know how to create a fighter from scratch. You know, Emmanuel Stewart's not here. You know what I mean? There's only a few of them out here, but there's only a few guys that are like that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to those trainers that are out here. Shout out to my man, uh, Breadman Edwards, man. Breadman is one of the best trainers in the game right now, in my opinion, because he takes guys who are B class fighters and he makes them fight an A game like they're A fighters, like they're blue chips. None of his fighters, Julian Williams, no disrespect to these guys. I know these guys personally, but Julian Williams, he wasn't blue chip. He wasn't a blue chip prospect. Kyron Davis, he's not a blue chip prospect. You know what I'm saying? Ochoa, not a blue chip. These are all his fighters. Even Caleb Plant, he's not a blue chip fighter. He gets the best out of guys who aren't supposed to be at that level. So shout out to the shoemakers out there. You know what I mean? The real trainers. You know what I mean? That's what's going to bring the game back. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Remember, everybody who jumped on here, right? You have to go onto YouTube and type in Akoye Knows Boxing, and you'll find the other page. Make sure you follow it. If I sound tired, it's because I just picked up a new big rope pup. Well, she's not even a puppy, but dog. I just went and got another dog. She's a big rope, you know, the big rope Frenchies. She has a big, you know, rope across her nose, so that's what they call them. But look them up. They're cute dogs. But I just got finished washing her up. I'm tired, and I'm about to call it a night. But I do appreciate you guys joining up. Make sure you guys support the channel. Make sure you guys tune in. I think I'm coming back on. It's probably gonna be Friday of this week. We'll be back on, but we will announce it. But I appreciate y'all jumping on ad hoc like this, man. Talk to y'all soon, and we out of here. Peace.